we have been involved in many of those, including the Smithsonian Museum for many, many years. Our chamber's taken the advocacy path very seriously in terms of where we speak and speak out, and certainly look to our leadership at the national, state, and local level. Senator, we're going to start right off the bat. I know that most recently you all, just I think today, have passed some legislation recommendation for what's going to be happening with COVID relief. From your perspective, talk to us about that. A lot of folks are concerned that we had some legislation passed on the House side of the, so tell us where we are with that and what it means for Houstonians.
Well, I'm personally dedicated to doing what we need to do, and it's been a little bit of a challenge because there's so much to do, and to try to make sure that we're spending the money in a way that helps the most and meets the need. I've described generally what we've done. It's been about $2.9 trillion. The bill that we've laid out yesterday is about $1 trillion of spending, and I know these numbers just kind of blow your mind. The House has passed a bill called the HEROES Act, which is about $3 trillion. And I can't tell you as I stand here what the right number is, but I do solicit from you and others on this call any recommendations, any suggestions. The content of those bills is pretty readily available. If you need some further assistance, Jay Guerrero and Ben De Leon in my Houston office be glad to provide it to you. But I need to get feedback from you. This should help individuals who are losing income on unemployment insurance. To be honest, one of the debates we're having right now is what that appropriate amount is, because Congress voted for a $600 federal benefit above the state benefit, only to find out that for some categories of wage workers, that ended up providing more money through unemployment benefits than they would earn if they went back to work. So obviously, we're trying to figure out what that right amount is. We want people to be able to return to work when they feel it's safe to do so. And of course, we've learned a lot about how to live our own lives in a way to slow down the spread. And obviously, the virus is not going away anytime soon. Thank goodness our doctors and nurses have gotten a lot better at treating it. But we know generally the vulnerable populations that are exposed the most, or for whom it could be lethal, and that is people over 80 and people with underlying health problems. But as you know, many Hispanic families are multi-generational and they live in the same house, and that's really where one of the dangers arises, because if a young person gets the virus, even though they may not experience any symptoms, they can expose a parent or a grandparent for whom the virus would be deadly. And so we're working through all of that to try to figure out what the right balance is. But I hope I can continue to get your feedback. If you think we're missing the mark, if you think there's more we need to do in some areas, please let us know, and we'll be happy to try to respond the best we can.
Well, one of the comments that came up in the questions was the $600, and the question is, where do you stand on that? And more importantly, on small business, they are suffering. Every day that goes by, they are in jeopardy of losing their businesses. Their employees are at risk when they're frontline essential workers. Where do you stand on the $600, and how can we expedite these decisions?
Well, we have a deadline, I believe, internally here. By next week, we need to get this done because a lot of these provisions are expiring, like the supplement for unemployment insurance, the federal benefit. But you're right, the PPP program, I think, has been probably the most successful thing we've done. It's $670 billion. I think $40.5 billion in loans just to Texas small businesses alone, more than 320,000 of them. And obviously it met a very real need. I've introduced legislation that would not make that a taxable event for the recipient of the grant, a loan, or if it turns into the grant, and allow businesses to continue their normal deductions. Unfortunately, we've been in a little bit of a tussle with the Treasury Secretary, who disagrees with Congress, but my belief is Congress wins that argument, not the Treasury Secretary. And we're working through that. Any help you all can give us to reach out to the administration or through associations like the Hispanic Chamber and others to encourage that, that would be helpful. But here again, You know, the direct payment to the individual was the first thing that we did. We're going to do another one of those. So that should provide some additional money to help people through the tough times. But the $600 benefit, I support, let me put it this way. I support paying people unemployment insurance to up to, but not including or above what they earned in their paycheck for the previous year. We know that people are anxious, and we know that some people are nervous about returning to work, but we need people to be able to safely return to work. And the concern is that providing more money through unemployment insurance benefits than they would earn working, that's a disincentive. So we want to try to strike the right balance, and I don't know what that is, but we're working on it.
Senator, going back to a point that you brought up, I know there are many nonprofits, chambers of commerce on this call as well. The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce participated in the Paycheck Protection Plan. What other measures are you taking to try to get more funding to business associations to make sure that we can support not only our corporate partners, but also small business?
Well, Laura, we're trying to broaden the beneficiaries under the Paycheck Protection Program. I know a number of nonprofits, including chambers, weren't originally included, and we want to make sure that all employers can be incentivized to keep their employees on the payroll if they can. Now, I know many won't be able to make it and won't be able to balance that out. But there are other ideas that we have both to help schools as they prepare for the new school year, or to help continue students studying online. And we're going to make a substantial investment, about $100 billion toward that effort in this next bill. But one of the areas where I'm a little frustrated is we created about a $500 billion federal lending facility that you've probably read about and know about. Unfortunately, in all this time, and I'm not blaming the Treasury, this is kind of a unique function. They've only made one loan. And so what I'm interested in is either loosening the lending criteria to make it more accessible, or if that's not possible, to reprogram that to plow more money back into our small businesses and allow them to survive. We're trying to figure out where the money can be best spent, and when it's not being used as intended, then I think we need to be flexible enough to adapt and put it where it does help the most.
Thank you. And on that note, we have a question from one of our executive committee members, Hollis. Francisco, can you hear us? And would you like to please go ahead and ask your question? Francisco?
Good morning, Senator. I understand that the new incentive package includes support for small businesses, as you said, who have been hit the hardest, and it applies a 50% reduction of sales threshold. So the restaurant industry, just operates on very thin profit margins, and so even a 20% loss is devastating to our industry. So would you support reducing that 50% threshold to a small business down to 20% or less than 50%, Senator?
I will support whatever is most useful to you and others in the industry. I just today joined a $120 billion piece called the Restaurant Act, which is not yet in the underlying legislation, but which I believe should be helpful to you. We'll try to work with you and others to try to get that number in the right place. But I know in particular the hospitality industry has been hit very, very hard and is hanging on the best you can. And I'm determined to try to continue to get you what is useful to you so you can survive this, and you'll be there to rebound when the economy opens up again. So we're happy to work with you on that.
Thank you. Thank you, Francisco, for that question, and Senator, thank you for that as well. We certainly have a lot of questions from folks on the line, and one of them is related to that. And the question was whether that also applies to caterers or just restaurants. I don't know if you have the answer to that.
Yeah, I think I know that independent contractors are covered by the unemployment insurance benefits that we have provided. So it's kind of a novel approach, broadening that. I don't know the specific answer, but I'll get you that information, Laura, so you can share with our folks on the call.
Thank you. We also have another board member on the line with us. As you know, our Chamber of Commerce has been working with Vincent and Elkins. We led Texas with the amicus brief to protect DACA recipients. Vincent and Elkins has been an in-kind partner with us, providing us with approximately $1 million in legal services. We want to protect DACA recipients. We know it's crucial. The timing is crucial. People are on the front lines working. They're in corporate America. I want to punt now to our board member, Carlos Abella, who's with us. Carlos, are you there? Carlos is president of Vedado. And Carlos, please ask your question.
Good morning, Senator. It's an honor to speak. Senator, so there's a lot going on, as you outlined, but immigration reform remains top of mind for many of us, as I'm sure it is for you. Can you tell us a little bit about what your thoughts are regarding DACA and other immigration reform that you are working on?
Well, Carlos, this is, people ask me what's my biggest disappointment of my time in the Senate. And honestly, immigration reform, our inability to deal with that in a sensible fashion has, it's been very disappointing and frustrating beyond my ability to describe it. But let me talk specifically about the DACA beneficiaries. I supported a bill that would have provided 1.7 million DACA eligible students or young people a pathway to citizenship. And as you know, that was part of a larger bill, and because of other aspects of the bill, it was not successful. I've talked to the president personally about the DACA recipients, and I've told him what I've said publicly is, in America, we don't hold children responsible for what their parents do. And these young people now find themselves literally with opportunities, their opportunities limited because of that. In the past, I think, honestly, both the Republicans and Democrats have sort of viewed this as a negotiating element. I no longer am comfortable with that. I think as a moral matter and as an economic matter and just a matter of basic fairness, that we need to deal with the DACA population on a standalone basis. I've encouraged the White House to do that, talked to the Vice President about it when he flew to Dallas recently on the COVID-19 issue. My hope is that we still get to that point, but it's not fair, and it's to these young people to hold them as negotiating leverage, which is unfortunately where they've been. And so I am supportive of a legal solution for them on a standalone basis if we can get there.
Well, certainly, Senator, this has been among our top 3 priorities. NAFTA was, we saw progress on that. DACA, the census, as you know, super important to our country, especially Houston, where those resources go. And I know, Senate, we appreciate your time, but before you go, just some takeaways from our board of directors, and that is we need more federal funding to support the Paycheck Protection Program and any other coronavirus relief that you can provide for small businesses. We need more testing readily available, free of charge, so we can protect those who don't have a voice, and of course, comprehensive immigration reform, that continue to be on your radar, on your track. You're in a very powerful position to make changes across the board, and we ask that you continue to advocate for Houston, and that you know the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is always at your disposal to provide feedback and any information you might do so that you can continue to lead us. But we need those resources for Houston. And again, on behalf of our board of directors, we want to thank you for your time today.
Well, thanks, Laura. And you have my commitment. And again, our prayers with you and your family during this difficult time. God bless.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a great day.